The Terminator inspired a generation and instilled a question that never quite left. What if the machines turned on us? That was Hollywood. More than 40 years later, that question feels closer to real than we've ever imagined. A Pew Research study found that only 16% of Americans think that AI will have a positive effect on society. 16! James Cameron didn't just make a movie. He wrote the operating manual for how an entire civilization thinks about artificial intelligence. And we never updated it. So the real question isn't whether the machines will turn on us. It's whether you understand this thing or just keep being afraid of it. If you feel anxious every time you read a headline about artificial intelligence, you're not alone. In fact, you're in the majority. According to a March 2026 Quinnipiac University poll, 55% of Americans say AI will do more harm than good in their day-to-day lives. That number jumped 11 points in just 1 year. And if we look at the youth, the generation that is supposed to be the most tech-savvy, it gets even worse. A recent Gallup survey found that only 22% of Gen Zs feel excited about AI. 42% report outright anxiety, and 31% say it makes them angry. Why? Because the narrative we've been feeding is terrifying. We are being told that AI is coming for our jobs, our privacy, and our security. A Pew Research study from June 2026 found that while half of us are now using chatbots like ChatGPT, only 16% of Americans think that AI's impact on society over the next 20 years will actually be positive. But here's the reality check. Fear is a terrible lens through which to view the future. When we operate out of fear, we miss the nuance, we miss the opportunity. And most importantly, we miss the actual real-world dangers because we're too busy worrying about science fiction. In this series, we're going to break down the AI panic. We're going to look at why you actually should be optimistic, what you actually need to be worried about, and why almost everyone is thinking about this technology completely wrong. Stick around. Before we go further, if this is the kind of conversation you want more of, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. It genuinely helps out more than you'd think, and we'd really appreciate it. Okay, back to it. Here's where this gets interesting. Everyone looks at the same numbers and comes to wildly different conclusions. Some people see the Pew data and they shrug. See, people are just scared of change. They were scared of the internet too. Their take? AI is just a tool. If you're informed, you'll use it well. If you're not, you'll be left behind. Don't slow down the technology, educate the public. Then there's the alarmists. They look at the same 16% and they say this is a 5-alarm fire. If the people who have to live with this technology have almost no faith in it, we have a legitimacy crisis. You can't deploy a civilization-altering technology when the civilization itself doesn't trust it. And then there's the third camp. They say it's not about fear or hype, it's about information. The gap between what the experts believe and what the public fears isn't a trust problem, it's a communications problem. Nobody is translating what AI actually does into plain language, and that gap is dangerous. Here's the real tea. The fear isn't irrational. It's just misdirected. People aren't afraid of the math. They're afraid of the consequences. They're afraid of losing their jobs, their privacy, their grip on what's real. Those fears are legitimate. The problem is that the conversation keeps being hijacked by the extreme ends. Either AI will save us all, or AI will destroy everything. And in between those two poles, the actual, useful, actionable truth, it gets lost. Here's the business takeaway. If you're leading a team right now, the fear your employees have about AI is data. It's telling you something. 55% think this technology will harm them. If your workforce feels that way, you're not addressing it directly. You're building on a cracked foundation. Here's the human takeaway. The fear is a signal. It means you're paying attention. The question is whether you're going to let that fear make you passive or whether you're going to use it to ask better questions. Not, will AI take my job? But what do I need to do now to stay relevant? Here's the long-term vision. The gap between what experts believe and what the public fears is not going to close on its own. The people building this technology have a responsibility to explain it, and the rest of us have a responsibility to stop outsourcing our understanding to headlines. I call this show the Bridge Briefing because you can't look at these things from just one angle. So before we sign off, let's throw on a few different hats. AI hat. The fear is real, the data is real, the gap between what experts know and what the public believes is the most important communication problem in technology right now. The infrastructure hat. We are building the most powerful information infrastructure in human history, and more than half the people who live inside it are afraid of it. That should matter to the people doing the building. Okay, the mystic hat. Every generation meets a force it doesn't understand and reaches for the same word, fear. We fear fire. We feared electricity. We feared the internet. The panic we feel about AI today is almost beat for beat the panic we felt about the web in the 1990s. Fear is just the name we give the unknown before we make it familiar. The discomfort you're feeling isn't a warning. It's a threshold. Okay, the human hat. The antidote to AI, anxiety, isn't optimism. It's literacy. You don't have to love this technology. You just have to understand it well enough that nobody can lie to you about it. AI is moving fast. The question isn't whether you're scared. It's whether you're going to let that fear make you smarter or just louder. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you next time on The Bridge Briefing.